Before we get started showing you how to take a collar size, I'd like to give you a little general information. Now, I would recommend highly that you purchase a measuring tape. If you don't have time, go on eBay. You can buy one for $1, and that includes shipping, or you go to your local fabric store, you can pick one up for $2. Every man or woman that wears shirts to work should own a measuring tape. So let's get on to it now. Before we get into the actual collar taking, I'd like to just inform you a little bit about the standard 3 types of shirt fronts, plackets. This here is called the placket. Some of them are hidden, some of them are not. But in this case here, this one here is called a box pleat or standard shirt front. And this one is a French finish. The fabric is folded to the wrong side. And this one is a hidden buttonhole. All the buttons are in between the fabric and hidden out of sight. The main point I wanted to make here is that if you put your tape and measure from the edge of the placket to the center of button, this measurement here will give you the exact center front. Again, here, if you measure from here to here, to the center of the button, that's the center front. Now, what is the center front? The center front is the visual line that cuts the body in half, right down to buttons. It goes from the front, back of the collar, all the way down your center back. In that case, it would be known as the center back. Now, these plackets from the edge to the button run in different measurements. Some would be 3/4, some 5/8, some 1/2 inch. If you're off a 1/16, I would round them off to one of these numbers. And this will be important as you come here. So we're going to get in next into the anatomy of the collar. Okay, if you're the type of individual that really doesn't want to bother with the details of a nomenclature of a collar, you can just, on your tag form, you can just put copy same style. If you've included a shirt sample, refer to it, copy same collar style, and we'll do everything for you. But there are individuals out there that are very specific about what they want, from the collar length, which is here. You may want a longer collar length, and you'll state on the tag form you want a 3, 3¼ 3½, maybe even 4 inches like in the 60s. You may want a different spread. You may want a British spread. Now, if you don't know what type of British spread, again, you may send a sample, we'll copy it. But there are various angles of spreads. It could be a cutaway. So again, you have to know what you want when you're describing to us, because there's many degrees in between each one. Now, the actual tape measurement of the collar, you'll see everywhere in tutorials on the internet that it's from center buttonhole to the end of the buttonhole, and that's not really your true measurement. As we discussed in the previous earlier, usually the measurement of the center front is from the edge to the center of the buttonhole, and again from the center to where the button is at. And the edge of the buttonhole doesn't always line up with the center. In fact, most manufacturers extend the buttonhole so that it gives you a little bit more room, because they know those collars are going to shrink. So that's something to take into consideration. Again, I'll show you shortly how to mark those areas so you get a true reading from center front to center front. Now, the collar. The collar is a misnomer when people say the whole thing is the collar. There's actually a collar and then there's a band. But it's a misnomer. We always call it the collar, the complete. But the collar is actually from here to where it meets the band. And the band is from here to here. Now, the collar is normally anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 wider than the band, traditionally. Now, you can make your band anything you want, and we'll make the collar 1/4 to 3/8 wider than you specify. Again, the collar length, you specify it, we'll give it to you. Another thing, normally in this particular instance here, the button is here, and the collar starts here, so that means there's going to be tie space. If you don't want tie space, let us know. We'll start it so it's closed here. So again, on the tag form, you can give us specific information, and we'll read them, we'll follow them. Okay, we've been talking about measurements, but now we want to talk about the individuals who are actually taking their own measurements. Now, here at the bottom you have a graphic, and there's 2 different measurements, and the point I wanted to make here is this one was made by a made-to-measure individual, but they took the measurement too high. The measurement should be taken at the base of the neck to give you an accurate, because don't forget you're going to have some shrinkage, If you take it up here, for example, and this is 15, by the time you wash it a few times, it's going to be 14 probably. And it's definitely not going to fit you because the collar tends to seek its level. In other words, the collar wants to come down to the base. So it's important to take a good measurement, like in this right graphic here. Take it at the base. Now, they always put a finger. That finger is really ease. It adds extra to the actual measurement. There's a couple of ways to handle this. You can either take the exact measurement and then add another 1/2 to 3/4 inch for ease, for shrinkage. Or you can take it like these individuals where they put their fingers in there, and that gives you the sense of how the collar is going to fit. Now, in custom, we always do fittings, and the reason we do fittings is because people have different body shapes. And you've seen in individuals where they buy a collar, and the collar is back here somewhere, and it comes around, and it's just too tight because the collar is pulling to the back, where it should be set right at the back of the neck. And each of these individuals would have the same problem. So in custom, what we do is we accommodate. We make sure that the back of the collar hugs the back of the neck, ensuring a good balanced collar fit. Now in retail, you don't have a choice. Some of the collars you see individuals, they buy 18, 19 because what happens is the collar ends back here. And by the time they put it on, it cinches in the front of the neck, and it feels comfortable in the front, but you have all this room in the back. It doesn't look right. You've seen many individuals with that. So again, it is possible to fix with a remedy we have, but I just want to let you know that some of the things that you should look for when you're taking a measurement. Okay, let's get into how to mark your shirt front so that you can take an accurate measurement. Now, in the upper part of this graphic, you'll see a tape, and it's measuring from the center button to the end of the buttonhole. But in reality, the center front, as I said, the center front is from the edge to the center of the button, and the same thing on the button side. Now, the reason I'm saying is don't take for granted that the button is in the right place. The button may have fallen off at the cleaners, your laundry, and the button may be here. So when you measure it, and we take the measurement from where the button is to the end, it's actually going to be bigger, 17, and that's not what you want. And then it's not going to close the right tie space. So again, it's important to take the correct measurement. So again, what we'll do first of all is on your shirt, you'll measure from the edge to the center of the button on the buttonhole side, and the same thing on the button side from edge to center of button. Then place your tape on it from center of button, in this case here, to center of the button again. Not the end of the button, but the center of the placket, as we showed you here. This is the center of the placket, always the center of the placket. That's your true measurement. Again, manufacturers play tricks. They may have the buttonhole out here somewhere to give you more room, knowing that they're going to shrink in the long run. But it's not really an accurate, doesn't really give you a good balanced collar. So again, take good accurate measurement. At this point, you can take note of your collar height, if that's what you want to specify on your tag form. Again, your band is normally 1/4 inch to 3/8 smaller than your collar height. And of course, you can look at the styles we have, and you can change the style on a new collar. If you're making new collars, you could have a British spread, or you could have a closer standard, or you could remove. You don't want a button down anymore. You make whatever style you want. Again, this from the edge to the center is the same thing as from the edge here to the center button. That is actually your center front. So it's just little things that you should remember. Okay, we're at the end of our tutorial, and we'd just like to little refresh or review everything and taking the measurement. Remember, the measurement is taken from the center of the button to the center of the buttonhole. The center of the button to the center of the buttonhole. Now remember, manufacturers, they always extend their button, and they always advise you to take from center of button to the end of the buttonhole. It's not a true measurement, because we want a true measurement, and then from that measurement we can add extra ease, an extra amount allowing for shrinkage. So that's the important thing. And one last thing, when you're buying shirts from a manufacturer, in this particular case the label is 17.5, but the actual measurement here was 18.5. It's an inch bigger than the label size. Now the problem happens that men buy them, and maybe they're a 17, they figure, well, it says 17 and a half, it's going to shrink, it'll fit me perfect. It's never going to fit him perfect. If he's a 17 and it's 18 and a half, that's an inch and a half bigger than his actual neck measurement. It's going to shrink a half inch. It's going to be too big forever. So when you're out there looking for shirts and you have your measurement tape, every manufacturer is different. Put your measurement on that brand new shirt from center of button to center of buttonhole, and you'll know exactly where you stand as far as collar size from the various manufacturers. And of course, you always think about shrinkage, and that's important. So all this information, the collar style, the angles, and all that stuff, you can write that on your tag form. We do read the tag form instructions, and if we have any questions on the tag form, we'll send you an email. So when you're printing your tag form, make sure you print accurately so we can read them, and we'll notify you that we don't understand something, or maybe you thought you knew something but you didn't. So we'll always call you, send you an email, and make sure that we verify everything so that you're satisfied with their service in the end.